Flinch, creative, sometimes chaotic, but always guaranteeing their fans a good time. They climb their way out of Frioleros to be darlings of the Dark Horse, but sometimes, something or someone tries to push them back down.
All I remember was a sound guy rushing up to the stage and threatening John. Then Hannibal goes up to the microphone and says, "Hey, you can't do that. We're the band."
Were you on drugs?
Drugs? I don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to talk to our attorney.
Drugs? I don't know what you're talking about, drugs.
All I know is he had twice the amount of alcohol that would kill John Bonham.
Who? Ted?
No, the guitarist from Def Leppard.
You can't have it besides the music unless there's drugs involved.
No. You know what I like. Take the usual, okay? Thanks.
Tonight, we go besides the music with The Flinch. For 5 years, the band have worked hard to please their audience while also pleasing themselves. They grew up from a loud, quirky pop band influenced as much by punk as by the Beatles to be a solid rock band whose memorable hook-filled songs captivate people as much as their over-the-top live shows do. Through multiple lineup changes, mislabeling by the press, bouts with record labels, bar brawls, and possibly drug problems, the Flinch have persevered to be one of Atlanta's top bands. In the spring of 1994, the Heredia brothers founded the Flinch. Older brother Hannibal on guitar and vocals, and younger brother John on drums.
The ad was for a female guitarist and or bass player. My brother and I had been influenced by the Pixies, and we thought, well, we get a girl in there and add something to it, maybe rhythmically or vocally. And lo and behold, we ended up with 2 girls, and I think actually that started getting us into our own identity.
Jennifer Thompson was influenced by Gang of Four and PIL. Those were her favorite groups. And you could really tell when she was playing with us that that's what she was into, and it added a new dimension to what Hannibal and I originally conceived of, and it worked well for the time. Jennifer was really creative.
Yeah, I remember our first gig. It was out of town in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, a place called Chucker. It's probably safer to play your first gig out of town.
I'd been up about 4 days straight when we played the gig at the Chucker, so I was ready to pass out in that van.
Oh yeah, Andrew and I were inside there downing pitchers of White Russian.
Isn't White Russian another name for cocaine?
No man, it's like vodka and cream. So rock and roll.
It was at this gig they debuted the name Atticus Flinch.
We played Freelares, we played Dotties, we played a lot of those dives. And Freelares in particular, I remember, was like the CBGBs of Atlanta. And that is how we met Kurt Wells. He was in a band called Grumpy, and he was doing the sound at Freelares at the time. And through him, we met some more people, and we eventually ended up on the Apollo Salvage CD, which got us a lot of press and promotion here in Atlanta.
The Flinch's track on the compilation Apollo Salvage would get heavy airplay on Atlanta's modern rock station 99X's Locals Only show. But by the summer of 1995, Andrea Baxter had been replaced by Jorge Ortiz, who suddenly left for Columbia and was then replaced by Andres Galdames. Jennifer Thompson also departed and was replaced briefly by Carmine guitarist Jeff Barnes. Your show seemed so frenetic at the time. What were you guys taking to keep the energy that high?
I think it's best you talk to our attorney.
No comment.
Hannibal and I thought that changing everything might be good. We decided that we should maybe change our image, for example, and definitely our sound. And I think once Andreas joined the band, it kind of solidified things because we kind of looked alike.
We played a couple shows with Jeff, including one at the Masquerade, when Jeff up and announces that he's moving back to Seattle to rejoin Carmine and be Dick.
Careful with the language.
No, Jeff is Dick. You know, Dick from the Miller Lite ad. Well, anyway, it was a show at Dice that we had to cover with the other 3 of us. And we walk in, and we've got the dark hair and the deep glasses. And Sam like freaks out. He's like, "Man, what a great look!" And we all kind of looked at each other. We thought, "Yeah." And we stayed at 3 feet.
Bass player Andreas Galdames, in the tradition of many a Chinese restaurant placemat, would declare 1996 the year of the Flinch. In fact, it was 1996 that Atticus Flinch would sign with Centennial Records and drop the Atticus from their name for good. When we return, the Flinch deal with a promotional ploy that plagues the band to the present.
It's not like we wear mariachi outfits and sing Babalu.
I can't wait until
In 1996, the Flinch had signed to indie label Centennial Records, who had ideas of grandeur. They were going to make the Flinch big stars.
We were kind of shaky about the label at first, but they had this really aggressive AR guy. But I think his deal was he wanted to be a big star himself, and he was going to use us to get there. So we went along for the ride.
In July 1996, the Flinch signed with Centennial Records, and soon the three-piece would be recording their debut album, Naranja.
Centennial Records had built Platinum City, which was a recording studio. They recorded Naranja. We produced the record ourselves, Alan Ploth, although the A&R guy from Centennial Records claimed that he was like the producer. He would come in like, maybe every 4 or 5 hours and come in and say we needed to change this and gave an opinion which was totally relevant to anything we did. And he also named our music ethnopop and then put that out in the press. Once again, he was just like, he didn't even know what we were about. It was just like, here, this is what you are, ethnopop.
Man, I was really getting tired of the label's marketing strategy. This whole Latino poster thing was starting to bite us on our ass. I mean, we had this one guy who came to our show who really expected it to be like Mambo, Costello, Menudo.
Yeah, man, like we wear the sombreros, we had the mustaches, got the bullets.
I think we took a giant leap from Naranja to what was going to be Tocadisco. I mean, some of the songs in Naranja were like 3 years old by the time we had recorded them. So at this point we were thinking, well, let's get a keyboard player. Let's try that out. We actually put an ad out for one, but I think keyboard players only like to play with themselves, and so it didn't really work out.
In October '97, Ted Lee, formerly of Clay Henry and at the time leading the Darwins, made a guest appearance on stage with the Flinch.
When I first met Ted, I thought he was an asshole. I mean, I was like, what's up with this guy? I mean, he just seemed uptight. But, I don't know, maybe after a couple beers one night, he just started talking about music and his attitude towards music and how somebody should be in a band and stuff like that. And it was just the kind of person that I wanted in my band. And I remember thinking, this guy should leave his band and come to the Flinch.
Well, I want to be honest with you. When I first met Ted, I thought he was an asshole. We started hanging out with him. He was pretty cool, and he ended up being all right in the band. And by the same time, I called the label and said, we got this new guy in the band, he's working out real well. Why don't you get us a producer that can really help our songs out? And I suggested them calling up Clay Harper, and they did. And it's Clay who turned us on to Karam.
So Ted, did you know about the band's reputation about drugs before you joined the band?
I'm not sure you got your facts right.
A veteran studio engineer, Karam Costanzo had worked with the likes of Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Matthew Sweet, and Paul Westerberg, whoever that guy is.
End of 1997, the label books us in the Clay Harper studio, and on the first day of pre-production, Karam chops up all the songs, gets rid of all the parts that the kids won't like.
Karam would look at his little legal pad, and he'd look up and say, first one, out of there. First two, out of there. The last verse, say anything important to kids? And I'd say, no. First three, out of there.
Unfortunately, the lengths of the songs would not be the only casualty during the recording of the Flinch's second album.
The label made a decision that Andreas shouldn't sing Bug Bite on the record. And they asked Karam for his input. And Karam was a little more practical about the whole thing. He thought that there should only be one voice on the record. So Andreas didn't sing Bug Bite.
Well, after being told by Karam that he would not be singing Bug Bite, Andreas didn't come back to the studio, and it affected the rest of the sessions. We were all pretty broken up over it.
I took it personal at first. But I kind of realized that there was a sort of a gateway to other things that me and the band were exactly on the same page. And I pretty much left the band there and then. I played one more show. But I still remain in contact with the guys, and I still love them. I still consider them brothers. And so everything is, it's pretty good. It's good.
The Flinch make one more lineup change, but then the record label stalls their momentum.
Well, the record was actually never even released in 1998.
After 8 days at Casino, Karam Costanzo took the Flinch to Purple Dragon Studios and mixed the record to be entitled Toca Disco. The record was, for all intents and purposes, complete.
Yeah, it was the beginning of 1998, and everything was pretty much ready to go on the record. All we had left was the mastering and the artwork. But unfortunately, we'd have to spend some time looking for a new bass player.
The Flinch would once again scour other bands, along with various back alley shooting galleries, for a musician to join their fold. This time they would tap former Painting Church's bass player, Mims Rogers.
I had shot the album cover for Naranja, and we came to work on Toca Disco. And luckily I had Ted to help me with the artwork. He was a graphic designer. And so we decided to lay out the look of it, and we decided that we wanted to put band photos in it, so people could see what it looked like. And at the time we didn't know if Mims was going to be in the band or not, and so we decided to ask him after just a couple practices if he could come along and be involved in the photo shoot, and he was more than happy to oblige. And next thing you know, he was in a band, and luckily we had him on a print.
Mims worked really hard during the auditions, and he's a real good bass player. But I think the fact that he was a real team player is why we had him in the band.
With Rogers, the band were eager and poised to release Toca Disco to the public.
It's a great sounding record, commercially oriented, and we were excited about the potential of taking us to the next level.
On July 3rd, 1998, the Flinch would hold their CD release party for Toca Disco at the Point. However, the CD was never actually released.
The record company sinks all this money into making Toca Disco, and then they never release the damn thing.
Well, it was called a CD release party, but I guess we should have figured out something was going wrong when no one from the label cared to show up.
Next up for the Flinch that summer was a showcase at Atlanta's first music conference in several years. This would be the Flinch's opportunity to perform for major labels. In the meantime, the Flinch's relationship with their record label continued to flounder.
The record label Centennial and I, we never got along. Actually, the last I heard of them, they made in contact with me was 2 weeks before at the Atlanta show, which hurt me a long way.
Perhaps you were, say, agitated by another substance?
Look, I don't need anything, look, you're just really coming along the wrong way, You better just chill with that, okay, Alright,
But in the midst of all that, we hung on to the showcase.
Oh yeah, that was a great show. We played at the Variety Playhouse with the Marvelous Three. We kicked their ass. We blew them off the stage, no question about it. Later, we had some interest from some major labels.
The question remained, what was the Flinch's relationship with Centennial Records? Their question was answered as their contract lapsed and the label did not exercise their option.
What was concerning was the fate of Toca Disco, and I think that our attorney should answer that question.
No comment.
Well, let me explain that. See, Toca Disco, under the contract, was never actually released. It was never sent to radio, it was never shipped to any record stores. You couldn't buy it anywhere.
We were busy as hell. We were playing everywhere, but we didn't have any product to sell.
Well, let's just say that we were able to get them to agree to give everything back to us. When I say everything, I mean everything. We got the publishing rights back, we got the masters back, we got the CDs back, we got the t-shirts back, the bumper stickers, the lapel pins, the toothbrushes, the Flinch action dolls. They had things I didn't even know they had of ours at their place.
Strengthened by the new lineup and a batch of new songs, the Flinch began to play the Southeast regularly again. However, a series of mishaps at various clubs began.
The incident with the sound man was just the tip of the iceberg. We had a show in Chattanooga right around Christmas. We were rocking out on stage. And the crowd was just kind of staring at us. And in the middle of all the rock, one of the drumsticks goes flying out of John's hand and whizzes by the sound man's head.
It's an accident.
Today, the Flinch continue to tour the Southeast, trying to avoid any more mishaps. Meanwhile, the first single off Toca Disco, Saturday She Shines, is being promoted to modern rock stations across the Southeast. The Flinch have begun working on new material with producer Don McCollister. Although it is uncertain if drugs are besides the music, the Flinch have persevered other tragedy to become the greatest rock band within walking distance.
Action, I got so much to give. Oh, action, I wanna get some too.
Yeah.
That
We got the sound man fired that night.
No comment.